Hi friends, my name is Ranjit. Considering what is happening in Sri Lanka right now, I thought let me share some knowledge that I gained through learning Vedic Astrology, a system called Systems Approach to Vedic Astrology uh, from Professor V.K. Chowdhury. He is the one who found this system, and that's how I learned astrology, Vedic astrology. The reason why I learned this is because I had kidney failure in 1999, so I was trying to figure out why this happened. That's how I started learning this system. So when I started learning this, I began to see what is, how logical this system is, and then how we can understand life events through Vedic astrology. Vedic astrology is quite complex and it's very difficult to learn. And I bought books and it was hard for me to learn from the books. But what Professor Chowdhury found is making it very logical and easy to understand what is happening in the astrology field. So that's what he did. He make it more manageable and understanding. So that is extremely valuable. It's a really good invention and clearing up all these troubles in Vedic astrology that's very hard to learn. So this system, he has given so much to this world, and his website is, you can learn his system. It's going to take a long time to learn, but it is highly worth it. This is his website, netastrologer.com. Actually, he has passed away recently, but his son is still doing this, and he is quite knowledgeable as well. So you can learn it here. You can see learn astrology here, where everything to do with this system is completely given free of charge. It's a huge good karma that he has been doing, and I'm sure he's in a good place right now. So this clarifies astrology. Basically it provides intellectual understanding of what really happens. So what I did was, considering what is happening to Sri Lanka, I said let me analyze Sri Lanka independence chart, and also I'm going to talk a little bit of these stuff like the basics, because it's so I cannot summarize something I learned over 10 years or more in one small explanation thing. So I'm going to try a little give you a little understanding on this, so you can understand what is happening in Sri Lanka at this moment in time. So that this provides an understanding beyond what you see, to what, like everybody tends to blame people and say everybody is wrong and this is what is happening and they are the right persons, right thing they do, and those kind of situations. If you understand this, you will never blame anybody in life, in personal as well as mundane astrology, which is countrywide. So Sri Lanka independence chart, it's 1948 February 4th, time is 12 a.m. and this is the chart. I'm using a free software called Junior Jyotish that you can get. It's a extremely good program that's created by somebody called Brian Conrad, and he is a very giving person as well. He has done this. You can download this from this website called jyotistools.com. And also he has paid version of the, once you learn a bit, then it's worth buying the other ones too, because it's very, very valuable, his contribution as well. Because he worked with the professor to create this software. His software is so specially for the systems approach. So now we're going to think of doing this. To understand what a chart is, this is a North Indian style chart. Basically, it's to understand this. I just found some pictures on the internet. Like this is our solar system. Like this is this is Earth here, and then and then you can see we are not really considering Uranus or Neptune or Pluto. We don't consider those planets, only the closer planets we consider, and the Rahu Ketu, which I can explain how that works. So this is what is exactly happening, like how these charts are derived from the Earth. If we divide this Earth into 12 portions around the sky, the atmosphere around the Earth, into 12, like let's say if you do like this, it will be 4, and then if you do like two like that, it will make it 12 sections. Like one will be here, one will be like that, one will be like that, one like that. So in this, if this is somebody's birth chart, like like this 1/12 of the 360, which is 30 degrees, because it's 360 degrees around the world. And then if you divide that by 12, which are the 12 signs, and the 12, we call it 12 signs, and the 12 houses. So if you take the 12 signs here, like if you just make this, if you just divide our atmosphere into 12 pieces, so maybe this planet, Mercury, comes and Sun comes in that one, like that. And then this one will coming in, Mars will come on this 1/12. And then this 1/12 will not have anything, and this one has nothing, like that. And then this, of course, we don't consider Uranus. And then in this 1/12, like this one going like this, we'll have the Jupiter in there, and then this 1/12 will have the Saturn. So it's the same thing we do in this here. So basically this is considered, okay, if I explain this little chart here, these numbers you see here are sign names. When he did the software, he did not write the name in words. Instead of writing name in the words, he just write 1. This means Aries. This means Taurus. 2 means Taurus, and the 3 means Gemini. 4 means Cancer. 5 means Leo. 6 means Virgo. 7 means Libra. 8 is Scorpio. 9 is Sagittarius. 10 is Capricorn. 11 is Aquarius, and the 12 is Pisces. Like in our Eastern system, we call it Mesha, Vrushamba, Mithuna, Kataka, Singha, Kanya, Tula, Uchika, Danu, Makara, Kumbha, Meena. So that's basically the 12 houses. So 12 places that we just divide our atmosphere into. So every 30 degrees is, so if you look at on that day of 1948, this is considered the first house, always the very first house. The sun is considered the first house. The sign, the first house of the sign is Libra or in Tula. So real Sri Lanka chart is Tula, because Tula belongs to Venus. You can see how beautiful Sri Lanka is. So Sri Lanka is everything to do with Venus. So this is how our little country, being such a beautiful place with so much diversity in nature or anything else, that we all know that exists, because that's what we get from Venus. So this is considered the first house. Like the signs are these numbers are the signs. The houses start from here. The houses go from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So this is the 12th house, and this is the first house. So that's the second house. So first house is what you see in your northeast horizon. Any given time, if you look at what 1/12 of the atmosphere comes up is this one, the first house. And then this part of these houses are actually below the earth, below us. These ones are above us. So if you go outside and look the sky above, right to the top, straight up, will be this house here, number 10th house. So that's how it works. So it's basically, if we go and look at outside, this is the 10th house, and this is the one you see in the east, more like east, and then between the east and the top here, this area, like that. And this is where the sunset side, this is the west. So half of this we will see, or whatever section that comes up, like when Sri Lanka was given independence, that time the northeast, this sign, which is Libra or Tula, that sign we have come up to 18.36. 18.36 of 30, out of 30 has come up. So come up from the eastern horizon, right? So that's what is showing up there. This is extremely important. This is what's called the most effective point, because we need to know exactly what the most effective point is. Like if you look at this chart, when I was doing this, I have used like Sri Lanka, like we always use Sri Lanka zone as 530, but I took it as 526 to get the longitudinal mean time, so that we can get the correct ascending degree or most effective point. Most effective point is common to all houses. So those are sensitive points in any chart, whether it's a mundane chart or personal chart. So that like 18.36, 18.36 in the second, 18.36 here, 18.36 here. Same way every single one of them, 18.36 is very, very sensitive. So that is important for us to learn. And then we need to learn the planets here. What Professor Chowdhury did is the most important. The finding that he made is to identify what planets are positive and what planets are negative to any particular chart, any particular sign. So for the sign of Libra, all signs have Rahu and Ketu as negative planets. They are malefic. Negative planets, we call it malefic planets. Positive planets, we call it benefic planets. So here we have 3 negative planets here, which is 3 malefics. So this is Ketu, this is Rahu, this is Mercury. So other planets are Like how he has this color coding is like the strength of the planet. Whether the strength of the planet is, if it is like, how it is like the red color, how we have the signal lights, red, green, and yellow. Yellow means the planets are not that powerful, some kind of issues are attached to those planets. So they don't have much, like out of the 9 planets we have here, we can see 3 negative, 1 fairly positive planet, and the other 5 are all not so strong planets. So that is what we inherited. What in any astrological, what is the value of astrology is actually this is karma that we brought into this life. In a personal chart, in a mundane chart like Sri Lanka chart now, this is a collective karma of all the people related to Sri Lanka. So this is basically the collective karma of the nation. When we got the independence, this is what we got. But we are very lucky to have like a sign like Libra, which belongs to Venus. Venus is the life giver. It's everything to be happy about is Venus. But unfortunately, there are some karma attached to Venus, so this is why we are suffering in that way. So that's something we need to know. Like somebody can ask, okay, we saw in this picture, this is Earth, and Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and the Saturn. So that makes it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 7 and 8 is Rahu and Ketu. What Rahu and Ketu means, these are all mathematical. Every single thing is mathematical, because every single point is very, very important to know, because these are even one point is very sensitive for us to make any predictions or to see what is going on in life. If I want to show what Rahu and Ketu does, I found these pictures here. Like this is Earth here again. Like if we are doing a chart for this one, it looks like all the planets are in one house, like this, all aligned in there. So it's very rare to find a chart like that, because all the planets don't line up that way. So here we have Moon and the Earth here. What is Rahu and Ketu is like this. Our what do you call this thing? Our orbit here, the Earth orbit here, and then the Sun, the Moon orbits around us, like that. So where this two orbits cuts together, this one here and this one here is Rahu and Ketu. So that's how the calculations come from. Rahu and Ketu come from the Earth orbit, and the Moon orbit cuts in place. So basically here and here, like that. So this would be Rahu and this would be Ketu. So that is how you get Rahu and Ketu here. Always Rahu and Ketu will be in opposite situation, like in the picture here. If Rahu is here, Ketu will be here. Or Rahu is here, Ketu will be there, like that. So he'll always 7 houses apart. So that's the rule we need to learn. Like Rahu, Ketu is always across. Like if it's Rahu here, Ketu will be here. If Rahu here, Ketu will be here. Like that. So that's the important thing to learn. So that's how the Rahu Ketu calculations are done. And these ones have, all these planets have different orbits, and sometimes they would go like round like that, sometimes they will go elliptical, or sometimes they will go in a different way. Sometimes they go like that and then come back in like that, even though they go across, but it could be elliptical. And So it's not exactly like this one. You can see the elliptical here. So sometimes one planet going in a house for a longer period. Because of that, the farther the planet, the period that runs in a one sign is much longer, like these ones, this one, and this, every month, like less than a month also it goes. The sun is month because this is divided into 12 pieces, that's how we have the new year and stuff like that. So this is like a month. This could be a month or more than a month, sometime more than a month here. And this is like a year. This one is more than close to 3 years, 2.5 years in a one sign, because it's far away and it's go. So that's the few things to learn. Now looking at, so I talk about software, planet, signs, houses, benefic, malefic, and now we can here to learn the dasa periods, which is in this software. You can see the dasa periods are in here. It's called Mars, Venus, Jupiter. Mars is the main period. We call it Mahadasa, or Venus is a sub-period, and Jupiter is a sub-period, or Vidasa, right? So this is the three things to learn here. Like if we look at the detail line here, dasas, if you look at the Mars, big dasa, you can see Mars and Mars, like Mars Rahu, Mars Jupiter, like that. So this is what we are running right now, Mars Venus. So that's the issue with the Mars. This is the Mars period that's our running. Mars main period is starts from 2016 to 2023, something like 7 years. And then what we need to learn is some basic learning here. Each house is or each sign is owned by a planet. Like as we know, the seventh one, which is the Libra, is owned by Venus. So that's a Venus. Like there's something called Mula Trikona house, main house, and let's say just for the learning purposes, we can say main house and a vacation house. Just for Venus. It's actually called Mula Trikona house is the main house, and the secondary house is the other one. So Venus have 7th sign and then 2nd sign. And then we have if you say moon, this is the Cancer sign, which is the 10th house. If you look at the Jupiter, moon only has one house. That is a Mula Trikona house, or main house. The Jupiter has 3rd house, which is Sagittarius, sign Sagittarius, and then this one, Pisces, the 6th house. And then for Sun, owns this is Leo, 11th house here. Sun owns this one. And then Mercury owns the 12th house, which is the sign Virgo. And then the Venus owns the 1st house. And the Mercury also owns the 9th house. And the Venus owns 1st house and the 8th house, this one. And then the Rahu and Ketu don't own any houses because they are malefic. So they are, how this one is the two orbits that cuts between Earth and the Moon. And then Saturn owns this house, which is the 5th house, and the 4th house. So 5th house is the Mula Trikona house, and this is the secondary house. Because there are a lot of rules that are affecting these, but just to make this simple, it's like that. But we're just going to concentrate on Venus, and what is, because we are running Venus sub period here, which is in Sinhala we call it Sikuru. So one thing to learn about these planets are Rahu and Ketu are called liberation planets. I mean, these are first-rate malefics. They hurt everybody pretty much, but they hurt different ways. So whenever Ketu Ketu tells us in life, Ketu always trying to show the truth, remove the veils, and then teaches us you can do without many things. You can live with minimalist things, so that way Ketu always offloads. Rahu, in the other words, Rahu is the deceiver, or he cheats you, he cheats, he is all the bad things in life, like drugs and money laundering and all these things, guns and liquor and all that stuff to do with Rahu. But Rahu always puts veils on things and then cover the truth. But at the end, he hurts so badly as well. So that's the two planets that are important to learn about. In our charts, in Sri Lanka chart, Mercury being the 12th Lord, becomes the most malefic planet for Sri Lanka. So Mercury is in the 5th house, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, along with Venus here. The things about the system's approach is extremely important for us to know the numbers here. So if the degrees here, we need to learn these degrees, which is if any planet is within 5 degrees of any planet degree, and then it can influence the other planet. And also there's something called aspects and conjunct. Conjunct means staying together, like this is a conjunct situation, but it is away from 5 degrees. So 5 degrees basically start with age 1 to 10 is a 1 degree difference, age 10 to 20 is a 2nd degree difference, age 20 to 30 will be 3rd, like that, go up to 50, and after 50 everything triggers. So that's basically what happens. So anything we want to look at in life or even in Sri Lanka chart, we can see that we are already 70 years, so most of these ones are pretty much triggered. When I say triggered, you'll understand it a little bit later. It will be quicker. In here now, Ketu being in the 1st house and the Rahu being in the 7th house, Mercury being in the 5th house. So what we need to understand is the relationship with each planet. Like if we look at it here, every planet can see the 7th house. They're called aspects. So we need to learn the aspects, which is like 7th house is like this. This is 7th house. This is basically a cross, because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So if we look at Sun, this will be 7th house, because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it will be 7th house. So Sun is aspecting Saturn, Saturn aspecting Sun. But this is not exactly 5 degrees, it's more than 5 degrees. But it is triggered now because it's after 50 years. Within 50 years, if it's closer than, like let's say Sun is 20 and Saturn was 20, that would have affect, very first 10 years of Sri Lanka history, we would have had some positive effects on that one, because these are 2 positive planets. But in here, biggest problems that we are seeing here is every planet can see the 7th house. So this moon can see this one, Jupiter can see this one, because this is the 7th house here. Mars can see this one, and Mercury can see that one. and Venus can see that one. So there are some special for some of the other planets. For Rahu and Ketu, they have 5 and 9. Rahu, Ketu and Jupiter has 5 and 9 aspects. 5th and 9. So that means Ketu can see 5th here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then 6, 7, 8, 9. So this Ketu can see this house. And Ketu can see this house. Same way Rahu can see this house and this house, because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Or 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this. So Rahu is aspecting that. And the Jupiter also can see the 5th and 9, which is this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. And then we have 6, 7, 8, 9. So Jupiter can see Saturn here. So that's the rule to understand. So Jupiter is aspecting Saturn because you're having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, because he can see 5, 7 and 9. So every planet can see 7. Rahu, Ketu and Jupiter can see 5, 7 and 9. And the other one to learn is Mars has also 3 of them. Mars can see 3, 3rd, 7 and 8. So Mars can see 1, 2, 3. Mars can see this house. And then Mars can see 7th house over here. And then he can see 8th house and this one. So that's another rule to understand, another one to understand. So, and then we have, lastly we have Saturn. Saturn can see mistake. Yeah, Mars can see 4th house. Mars can see 4th, 1, 2, 3, 4, this one. And then 7th is this and 8th, 4th and 8th for the Mars. For Saturn, he can see 3 and 7 and 10. So Saturn can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7 here, 8, 9, 10. So Saturn can see Rahu here. So those are the aspects to learn, so those are the aspects. Those are very important. The reason is that if you look at this Mercury, planet of losses, which is on this house, because each house has a different signification. I will show you in a second. So each house has a different signification. So this planet can see Mars here clearly. So that one has a malefic influence. That's what we call it. We call it, because this is 8.58 and this is 10.01. So that one has a malefic influence. Now if you look at Ketu here, I said he can see 5th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can see this is 26, 24 and this one is 27, 13. This is what is happening to Sri Lanka right now. Actually, we carried this big, huge karma. This is really a bad karma of our nation. Anything represented by Mars or his houses are suffering because of this affliction, which is Mars is afflicting, the Mercury is afflicting Mars, which afflicting means putting a negative influence on Mars. Whereas Ketu is negatively affecting our Lagna Lord, which Venus, because this is 26, 24 and this is 27, 13, which is pretty much in 1 degree, right? So 26, 24, 27, 24. So it's within 1 degree. So this, what happened to Sri Lanka at the very first 10 of years of our country, this triggered this negative aspect. What happens with this is, now I'm going to show you how this, I'm just trying to analyze only this sign, just to give you an idea of how this is done. It's very detailed, and this is Sri Lanka. Like it is like each planet has their own significations, like what sun, moon, Mars, Mercury, Jupiter, like that. And then each house has a different signification. Like first house is the general conditions of the country as a whole, state of law and order, like that. Each house has its own significations. So what these planets are required to protect their house significations. It is like, it's like we are saying, okay, Venus, you are responsible to guard our country. But if the Venus has no power to do so, or Venus is under so much malefic influence, then Venus cannot protect us. That is what is happening. So any planet that has a malefic influence or don't have enough power, then the planet cannot protect his or her own significations. So that is what's happening right now. So so this is what I was doing, just to give an idea of how these charts are being analyzed. To correctly analyze a chart like this, I'm only taking the Venus. The Venus, I'm just taking, because we are running Venus time, and this is how we have the pandemic and all that stuff here. And it's a worldwide thing, because it's a worldwide chart. So, USA chart shows up like that. So what happens is that Venus owns the first house, Venus owns the 8th house, and the Venus has its own significations, and then the Venus have Ketu in her house, and Ketu influences Venus. So we need to look at all those significations and then derive what is happening to the country, what our nation looks like. So this is how it's done. Like Venus first house significations are these, like general condition of the country, state of law and order, people and the general outlook, public health, government. Venus is responsible for public health, reputation and valor, position in the world. All these, most of these I took it from unitledastrologer.com, from the professor's website, where you can get these significations for mundane or for personal purposes, like these. And then what is Venus secondary sign, which is the 8th house, these stuff here, belief of the masses and the epidemics, all these different things. That 8th house is not a good house, 8th house is a bad house. Only good thing is, in this house is the easy gains, like where Venus would have given us like precious stones and those kind of stuff. That's how we are blessed with those things. If you look at, many things that women like, is there in Sri Lanka. And we have Venus, because of Venus we have Sri Lankan Prime Minister as the world's first lady Prime Minister or lady President, because it's rarely that happens. So wherever, because Venus is very powerful, Venus is the country owner. And then we need to get, Venus is in the 5th house. So this is Venus 2 houses. Venus is responsible for protecting these. And then the Venus is in the 5th house to do with intellectuals, creative intelligence, emotional stability, all these, universities, moral, and all these stuff is Venus gone into owner of the 1st house, gone into the 5th house. So that's how we have creative people. Sri Lanka has quite a lot of creative people, but they don't have the means to go forward because our Venus is weak by the aspect of Ketu. Ketu is very, very powerful malefic planet. So that's what is exactly happening. And then this here, Venus, then we said this is our first house, this is our eighth house. So Venus own houses these two, and then this is what where the Venus is, and then this is what Venus significations are. All good things in life are Venus. Everything to do with material comforts are Venus. Life giver is Venus, and creativity. You can see the creativity here in the fifth house. So we have common themes on these different significations. So you can see these in Sri Lankan, our values and in our system. You can see these common things in together. So that is exactly how we're going to delineate what exactly happens, what the country looks like, what the people looks like. Music, our music is so beautiful and great, that's because it's Venus. And textile, advertising, legal, teaching, hotels, every happy things, medicines, life-saving medicines are from Venus. If we can, that's why we have medical. If we develop these areas with the proper good karma for Ketu, then we will have these things well done. We could have done a COVID research and get COVID vaccines from Sri Lanka, which would have been much more powerful. As long as we would have given up, like let's say you have if you earn $10 out of a vaccine, we should have given up like $2 or $3 to a charity. Charity means a specific charity type. If we are doing that, then there's a chance of succeeding in these areas. So that's everything to do with Venus. There are so much more significations than these, but this is it's. And then what happens is the Ketu. Ketu modifies all these here, because it's if we didn't have no Ketu influence, we would be in a very good position in Sri Lanka. We would have been a much. That's how for 70 years what we have done is always nothing good, because we talk about politicians and things like that. Question we need to ask is, in this kind of a negative situation, whether we deserve better or not. That's how we get politicians as not as educated, or they don't, even if they're not educated, they really don't want to do the right thing, because they are not inspired to do the correct thing. So this happens because of this here. When Ketu comes into the picture, that modifies all these 4 categories of significations. Ketu always reduces, and also obstacles and things like that, because Ketu provides natural calamities, violent actions or events, fears and accidents, and the poor and isolated. Always expose the reality. Actually, why we have Buddhism in Sri Lanka is Ketu provides us the clarity, because if you look at any other religion, I'm not downplaying any religion actually, because the Buddhism provides us basic understanding is how life works. We don't have to believe anything. That's the only thing about Buddhism, because Buddhism teaches you if it's good, you come and look at it, and if it's good enough, then you can follow it. It's not you don't have to believe anything. So that comes from Ketu, because the Ketu provides clarity to Venus. So that's the only positive aspect of that, and that makes the clergy, very powerful in Sri Lanka. Their influence is always will be there because of this Ketu influence. This influence started from first 10 years of Sri Lanka starting. After so this is what is exactly happening here. So if we can do proper, as a nation, we can do proper remedies for Ketu, and then we can overcome some of these negative aspects of Ketu affecting these significations. So that is important for us to learn. Now if we go back to this here, Now we're going to look at the Dasa period here. What is happening here is that the Mars, if you look at Mars, as I said, Mars is malefically influenced quite significantly here too, which is in this software you can see something called SA analysis. This is called systems approach analysis. Like this sun is in a good placement, meaning the planet is not in a 6th, 8th or 12th houses. If you look at this here, moon is debilitated in Rashi. When a planet is debilitated in Rashi, whatever that planet rules operates, but operates at a unhappy environment. So that's why it's called debilitated in Rashi. Whenever planet is debilitated in Rashi, I think we call it Nietzsche in Sinhala. Once happens is that if you have any Nietzsche planets, that means that aspect of your life will be, or that aspect of the country operates in an unhappy environment. It's not very happy. You can see the Mars is then aspecting there. Then the Mars, you can see Mars aspected by malefic Mercury 78. Almost 78 means close to little bit just over 1 degrees, because this comes from if it is close to 5 degrees, if it's close to 1 degree between the planet, then it will be 100%. It is the same degree, so this is how it's taken. This is 5 divided by 5 as 100, and then 5 degrees as 100, and then taken the percentages like that. So what is happening to this is ours in Sri Lanka chart, malefic Mercury is affecting Mars. So Mars main period, Mars itself is no power at all to help us. And then the Venus is extremely weak also because of aspected by malefic Ketu 83%, which is the one that we looked at. So because this Ketu and this Venus here, and then this Mercury and this Mars here, because this is the 5th aspect and this is the 7th aspect of that. So what period we are running is a Mars main period, started in January 2016. You can see how the negative period starts there. So we could not expect much progress in these kind of periods. That is what is happening. Actually, I think is the government changed, and then this is how it started. They may have started with a good intentions, but then this is where Mars is afflicted here. So if we look at the current period we are running, Mars, Venus, Jupiter, which is Mars. This is how this period starts. Mars, Venus started in December 2020. Mars, Venus, Venus. Right now we are at Mars, Venus, Jupiter, July 26, 2021. So this is the period we are running. So we know this one is afflicted, this one negatively influenced by malefic Mercury, this one negatively influenced by malefic Ketu. And then this planet has not much power either. So what happened was, the Rahu is a deceiver, and then from May 23rd, 2021, the corona started spreading inside, because Rahu is really, things works out such a way that the Rahu is always hide things. So things spreading without we seeing them. And then it starts to come out in the next period. That's what's happening there. But then most importantly for us to learn is how the events triggers. So you can see that this period runs all the way to February 20th, 2022. So we are in for a long haul here, because this Venus period runs all the way to February 20th, 2022. Then after that is more government oriented time that's going to come over here. Maybe we're going to leave corona as a normal fact of life from here, but this time is tough. But the most important thing to learn is how the events triggers. So we know the period running is not good, because so that we know period color and it's showing we are not running a good period. So corona is not a wonder at all. That's quite normal. You would have seen that if you really understand this. How the things triggers is that, let's say this is somebody's chart. This is Sri Lanka chart, just for the sake of understanding. What really happens is how the events triggers is this, like, let's say this is a 1948 February 4th 1948 chart, just for the example, and we are going to ignore these three stuff. And then none of these planets stay in the same place, they keep going. That's called transiting. That's the important thing to learn. So what happens is that, let's say just for example, Mercury. Let's take our Mercury here, this one here. We know this is a malefic planet. And this Mercury goes like this, and then let's say Venus was here. Because Venus must have moved too. Remember, the planets keep moving. This is a one picture taken from the sky of the date of birth. Basically, that's what it is. But these planets keep running and running and running all day, all the time. So what happens is that when this one goes like this, and then touches another planet here, like let's say we have, let's say this Mercury, just to learn this, Mercury was at 8.58, right? Mercury was 8.58, and then he goes like this, and then our Venus was in 27. So when he goes to 27, a negative event occurs. Though that is what is the important thing to learn. So this is the most crucial thing to learn astrology, the systems approach, so that you can see actual event triggers. So this is the most truth about Vedic astrology. Nobody can ever say this is wrong, because if you ever understood how this thing works, like let's say this Mercury goes like this, and then this Jupiter also moving, say he goes one, whatever, and then Mercury goes like this and go here, that means it's in the line of Jupiter here. So then the negative thing triggers, negative effect triggers, and then he goes over here, and then the negative effect triggers because Saturn is over there. So every time these planets keep moving, say like the Mercury going like this, he goes and touches the Venus at 27, and he goes and touches Rahu at 26, he goes and touches this 18.36 in every single house, which is called the most effective point. So if you look at we are just taking Mercury is going forward and then touching the 18.36, because 18.36 most effective point common to all 12 houses. So 18.36 hits negative event. They are not major negative event, but you will see something in the newspaper, something negative you will hear, and then he goes to 27, some negative little thing, something happened there, and then he goes, and this one he go to 18.36, and 18.36 here, and then the 26, same way 18.36 here, and then he sees these ones, 11.04 and a 28.43. So that triggers. So what really happens is that the event triggers like this. This is called ephemeris here. Like you can get the same from this chart program here. This is a really valuable program. Like you can see this is where the planets are in each day. So these are the transiting planets. They are there at any given time. R means they are going in retrograde. Retrograde means, the orbit that's going in this orbit is a very oblong, long orbit like that. So it's going it's really a visual thing that we see one planet going in at 30 degrees for a long, long time. That's what's called retrograde. That's how you see R there. So these planets, for us, it looks like they are going backward. Actually, they are going straight to, oblong way. That's why we are seeing from the visual point of view, it's showing as it's coming back in. So that's what it is showing, Saturn at 15, 14, 14 like that. And then you can see here, Jupiter also retrograding these days here. So that's what it is. So whenever these sensitive points are touched, you see a negative event occurring. And it definitely happens. There is no question about it, because I have done so much. I make predictions. I have checked so many other things, and it's clearly there. I can't explain this in a short video. It's something I learned over 10-15 years, and it cannot be taught in one thing. So what I did was, let's say now, this is what I printed that epimeries here. These are called Panchanga in Sri Lanka, right? So if you look at I'm just checking the Mercury transits. If I look at the Mercury transits, if I look at August 18th, you will see August 19th at 16. So in this program, most important thing is this thing called transit data, right? So this here, transit data is in line with the natal chart. So if I look at any of these days, let's say 18th of August, just to give you 18th of August, so let's say 18th, you will see Mercury conjunct 11 house 92, 779, meaning this is going to go over here. Okay, I am just, because this software, when he did it, he didn't really line up the 7 to 7 to make that I can probably reduce this to 12. No, it's still 8. Just to line up because it's software, it's a free software, so it is really okay. Now this is 7 and this is 7. This is the natal chart, and this is where it's showing where the planets are right now. So if you look at Ketu is going in the second house. Ketu is going in the second house, whereas Moon is going in the third house. Moon goes very fast, so Moon goes every 2 days. Moon, every 50 hours, Moon go into another one, because Moon is the fastest moving planet. So that's, you can see that Mercury in the 11th house, because it's 1, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So this is where Mercury is. So Mercury going to 17, which is 18.36. So this day we will hear more corona deaths, because Mercury is a planet of communications also. So you will hear negative communications, and like that. Basically this is showing where the planets are, what is touching. Let's say this Saturn, moving Saturn is touching Sun 20, that's a positive event. it's not necessarily a very huge positive event. I mean, it could be a positive event, because it's a positive situation here. And the same way this Jupiter is going to touch Venus, it's a positive event, whereas this Jupiter touches Mercury, it's a bad event. So it's the same thing. So that's how events are triggered, and it happens exactly to the date, without a question. Now the concerning transit I'm talking about is this one. If you look at the transits now, today is 16th. If you look at the transits now, you can see Ketu is going in the second house and 13 degrees 0.26, and we have Moon at 11. Another point that I should have said earlier is that Rahu and Ketu always go backward, whereas other planets go forward. So Rahu and Ketu goes, like, just to give an example, like here you can see Rahu and Ketu go down like this: 1333, 1328, 1326, 1326, 1326. Like, this is pretty much stationary. Whenever Rahu Ketu is stationary, a lot of bad things happens in life. So that's exactly, this is when these planets are slow, then things happen. Because here, on this day here, September 7th, 2021, Ketu going to touch Moon, exact amount. So in this area, this time is not good, because within 5 degrees, it's not good. Like particularly when it's 2 degrees, 1 degree, it is get worse. And then it goes away after, around here, 8, 5, 6 like that, it begins to go down like that. So what happens is, this is the main trigger here that we need to learn. If you look at like September 7th, let's do the transits of September 7th, just to get an idea what happens. Because Mercury transits Mercury is a fast moving planet, but the Ketu is a slow moving planet, and the Ketu is stationary at the moment. When the planet is stationary, is very, very tough. So we are saying we need to look at this date, which is September 7th. So if I put September 7th here, this is ideal to this transit thing. If you can read this, if you learn to read this, might take a months to learn it, but absolutely worth it, because you will see what is going on with your own life so clearly. Like if I look at 7th, see the Ketu conjunct Moon 99. This is a peak of a transit. Moon is mind of people. So let's look at what Moon is all about. So if we look at Moon, let's look at Moon. Like what nature of the Moon: public administration, management of food and hospitality, healing, indicator of masses, women power, professional, public relations, administration. The most important thing is a mind. So its Moon is mental, that we know that the Moon is, all these mentally ill persons also get affected with the Moon movement. So we know that our people are really scared now because of this transit here, because nothing good will happen in this period. Even if you have curfews or whatever it is, this still going to trigger higher. You might find curfew over here when the horse goes over the thing that we call it, that can happen over here, because then it tends to, after that we're supposed to go down a bit. So you can see a key date up here is September 7th. So before September 7th, you're going to see a lot of, deaths and stuff that's going to go higher. There's nothing we can do really, and you can see here the transit also, Mercury transit here also. And there are positive transits in between here, which I can then highlight every single one of them, because it's going to take a long time for me to do this. I don't do this as my job or anything, I'm an accountant. So, I learned this, so that's why I'm going to share this information. So this is what we are watching right now, and then important things for us to know is, this. People are going to be scared and their mind will be very unsettled till all this time here. And then the question we ask is why we don't have a control of everything. And we don't have a control of anything actually. It's, like in this world we don't have any we can have a control to an extent. It is not total control on anything. Because these are hard, because this is karma, that triggering. This is basically a collective karma. Death is not an end anyway, death is just ending from here. So at least whatever suffering that goes away from there for now, but then you will come back. So that's a different thing. But there will be, much harder time to come. And also Venus period not going to finish till next year. So, I marked all the transits for Mercury, like here, these days. If you mark these days and just look at the newspapers, you will see some negative stuff. Some political discord and, something happening. So these happen. And the Rahu period that we just ran is where all those teachers and people like that came out and doing all the stuff is a Rahu stuff. If you really understand life, you will never ask for things. If you deserve it, God will give it, you will be given, it will be given to you. It is not that you have to fight for every single thing in life, because if you look at your own chart, then, I'm not teaching I'm talking about the mundane chart here, but if you look at the personal charts, it's a similar situation. You can understand your circumstances. Whatever karma you brought to this life, you will pay for it. These are called fructification of karma, fructification of, and then basically what astrology does is showing out what karma we brought to this life and how we pay for it. So this is how, as a collective nation, what karma we brought to our country as, citizens of Sri Lanka, and then what are the karma we need to overcome. There are a lot of things we can do to overcome these. The best thing is please help somebody if you can, and be a good person. Be honest to yourself, that's what is exactly needed. If you can see somebody else's suffering and help them, then you will overcome your problem in your chart. Then you don't have to be a teacher or somebody or anything asking for more money, because you will be shown another opportunity for you to go much higher income. So it is not you have to fight for every single thing. If you do your best in your life, be honest to yourself, things will change. Okay, I think that's good enough for now. If, happy to teach further if it's needed, so let me know.